So, hello everybody, here's Niall from Ciembassy.com, the website for ancestors communication and universal communication. This video I'm gonna produce regarding the topic problems because of individuals disturbing during universal communication processes. And I mean individual creatures which have lived as human beings before, for example. So I want to give you an example. If I practice universal communication with an individual creature, let's call the individual creature number 0. And there is another individual creature during the process when I do communicate with the creature number 0. Then there can be another individual creature, let's call it individual creature number 1. And it can happen that during a process when I communicate with an individual creature who have lived as a human being, for example, that the creature number 1 starts to disturb the communication. For example, if I do practice ancestors communication and the individual number 0 uses wind to communicate with me, it is possible that other individual creatures, like individual creature number 1, also a creature who have lived as a human being before, for example, starts to disturb the communication by using also wind or by disturbing the other creature which is trying to communicate with me. So then I'm in the position that I try to communicate with the individual creature who have lived as a human being before, and another individual creature who have lived as a human being before is disturbing this communication. And for example, if I do universal communication with a creature who is using wind, so that the leaves of plants starts to shake, this can be disturbed by the individual creature number 1. So by the creature which wants to disturb the universal communication. And if that's happening, that is very difficult for me as a living human who was trying to make transparent that universal communication is possible, and ancestors communication is possible, and it is very difficult regarding the topic to produce good data. Because, for example, I start to communicate with a creature who wants to reach his family or her family, and then this video material gets disturbed by another creature who have lived as a human being before. What then happened is the process is getting disturbed in total, because in this video material, and that do happen sometimes, in that video material, people which are watching the video later, so the family, for example, the living humans of the creature which was trying to reach his or her family, they will be unable to see the clear concept of action and reaction. So they will be unable to see the video as clear universal communication because of the principle of action and reaction. For example, if I do communicate with a creature who wants to reach his family, I can ask him, are you the creature who have lived as the man? And then I can make transparent some dates, date of birth, date when he lost his human body, and he can react by using wind, as you can find it on the videos on Ciembassy.com. But other people which are watching the videos can only understand it and only see it as universal communication if the reaction to my questions, so for example, if he wants to agree, yes, that's me, and triggering the wind to a higher wind level, if the reactions are clear and on point, which means they have to be direct. So there should be only a short moment in between my question and the answer. But if the creature who wants to reach his family by the video material, who have lived as a human being before, for example, is getting disturbed during the process of the universal communication, the living humans will be unable to understand the situation. They will be unable to understand that there are such problems behind that what they see as a result in the video. And what they then will see in such video material is that I do ask clear questions, me the living human who's trying to help these creatures to reach their families, and the other individual I'm trying to communicate with is unable to react to my questions correct and directly. So then the video got disturbed, and it's not beautiful. For me as a living human, it is stressful, and it is very harmful to all the other creatures which are trying to reach their living family members, because they are unable to do so because of such situations and the creature which decided to destroy their chances. And my lifetime experience, I want to share it here, is that sometimes, and sometimes can be periods in life where it's happening very often. And there can be other periods as well where the universal communication is working very well, and for a long period. So where a lot of videos are produced with creatures which are trying to reach their living family members. But my lifetime experience is that because if you do universal communication, you deal with individual creatures which have lived as human beings before. And as soon as an antisocial behavior is happening by a creature which is disturbing a lot, these antisocial creatures are able to destroy the chances of the other creatures if they find humans like me which are willing to help them to reach their living family members. And the consequences are fatal, because for living humans, if they know somebody is still existing, so if they have a father, for example, and the father is losing his human body, of course the family will be very sad, maybe for the rest of their life as humans, before they can reach their father again. So this antisocial behavior is very brutal to the individual creatures which are trying to reach their living family members. And for me, a living human who's willing to help creatures to reach their living family members, it's a catastrophe, because it's antisocial behavior on a very, very high level, and it is a lot of stress for me, the living human, who's trying to make universal communication transparent, and who's trying to help individual creatures which have lived as human beings before to reach their living families. For example, there can be a very good day, and I can help 3, 4, 5 individual creatures to produce a video for their family members, one after the other. And there are days where, for example, one individual tries to destroy everything, and then you have you as a living human, so me, is in the position that I always have to do the universal communication again and again and again to give these other individuals a chance to reach their living family members. And often the problem is that them, if the disturbing is too big, it is impossible for them to produce video material to reach their living family members. Because me as a living human, it's very simple. On a good day, I start a video with an individual creature who have lived as a human being before, and after 15-20 minutes the first video is finished, and then I can help another individual creature who have lived as a human being before. On days where antisocial creature is disturbing all that, all these creatures which have lived as human beings before lose their voice and are unable to reach their living family members. And for the families, it means they're sad maybe until the end of their lifetime, because they do not understand that their family members do still live and do still exist with intelligence and consciousness to communicate, so that they are still able to communicate with the living family members. So that's a very, very big problem. And I'm producing this video, it's the year 2020, to inform the people which are visiting ciembassy.com also about these problems. Because, for example, if you have the offer from an individual creature which belongs to your family and who have lived as a human being before, for an appointment, even on appointments that can happen, and then the problem is the family do not have the chance to understand the universal communication, and they are then not able to communicate with their loved ones. So I want to make sure that everybody is understanding that, because I can offer to help on such appointments, but I cannot guarantee that the universal communication then will work. And I want people to understand that, because otherwise they're gonna say it's my fault or something, and that's not the case. No, the case is that maybe them in such situations. I produced a video with an individual creature which is really trying to reach the living family, and then his or her chances are getting destroyed by another individual creature because of antisocial behavior and egoism, right? That's a typical ego problem, as we would call it. For people which are not used to universal communication and ancestors communication, it's very important to understand the following. The first thing is that if you deal with individuals which have lived as human beings before and which have lost their human body, but which do still exist as individual creatures and able to communicate today, that do not mean that they're intelligent or that they do have a social behavior. For example, if you deal with an individual creature who is an asshole, the individual creature gonna be even an asshole maybe after he lost his human body. And that's the problem which humans should understand, because then it's easier for them to understand universal communication. A lot of living humans do lose themselves in theories about the universe and universal communication and ancestors communication. So, and then they maybe think that individuals which have lost their human body because the human body died are perfect as soon as they're dead, as soon as they're in something what the people call the paradise. But that's not the fact. That's not the fact. If an individual creature, for example, is not intelligent because of his own nature, then there will be no more natural intelligence after he lost his human body. It will be a stupid creature even in heaven, as people would call it, or in the sky, in the universe. If an individual creature is naturally very intelligent, then it will be a natural, very intelligent creature even after he lost his human body. The other thing is that creatures can have or lose consciousness, but that have not much to do with natural intelligence. If we look at humans and they lose their consciousness, then they might look stupid, but that must not be the case if the individual is highly intelligent, for example. So very often humans do, from my opinion, from my standpoint of view, do judge wrong in that kind of fields if there are any discussions are going on and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make clear, if you deal in the universe with individual creatures, they're individuals, and if they, for example, if they're bad socialized, then you maybe gonna deal in the future, if you do universal communication, with an individual creature who's badly socialized. So, for example, an asshole. And I just wanted to make very clear on that website for people to understand that for me, the living human who's practicing universal communication with a lot of creatures every day, my life, because of that, also is very, very stressful and sometimes also very, very harmful to me as a living human. Because some of these creatures, they use the natural environment, for example, to attack me. That can happen too. You could see in the other videos you find in the database for ancestors communication, for example, that they can use wind to communicate. But they can use also the natural environment to attack humans. And also that did already happen in my life, and actually it do happen very often. Regarding these attacks, I'm not willing to inform the public about too much details, because then me as a human being, I would be in the position that I get maybe attacked much more often. But I can tell the public, which are watching the website ciembassy.com or our YouTube channel, that if you do universal communication and if individual creatures can reach you, which have lived as human beings before, it can happen in lifetime periods very often in between. So it is possible that you can get attacked by several different methods. It's not only by winds, because they can use the whole natural environment. Let's take a mosquito, for example. The creatures which have lived as human beings before can influence human bodies, which is called the teardrops of God, or you know this finger thing, which there's a good picture in Rome where the creatures from the sky do touch with their finger a human finger. That's what's that saying is they can influence human bodies, but they also can influence animal bodies, so they can guide them. For example, if you get guided by a creature who's maybe your ancestor, then you might have some thoughts and you might think in the first moment these are your thoughts, but these thoughts inside your human body can be triggered by ancestors. And because of the thoughts, you might do some decisions in your life which are caused by thoughts which have not been your original thoughts. So they can influence human bodies, they can guide them, but they also can guide animal bodies, for example. And they can use the whole natural environment to communicate or for war purposes, so to attack living humans. So let's take a mosquito, as I said. For example, if an individual creature which belongs to the ancestors of living humans wants to attack my nerve system as a living human, he can do that directly inside my human body, which could be even measured by medical equipment, by the way. And you will find one video at least on the website if you do deep search where you see that they can influence a human body on a very high level. In that video you might see it's with Christina Stoppel, and I agreed to show it to the public. There she was trying to influence my heartbeat, which is nothing romantic. It can be very painful. So it has nothing to do with love or anything. It's just using a biological human body to show something, and me as the living human, I agreed on that, but in that moment I take in pain, because that's necessary to make it transparent to the public. So you will find one video on ciembassy.com with Christina Stoppel, her name was, you can search that, and then you see me nearly naked with medical equipment, and she is influencing my heartbeat. In the same way, ancestors in general could attack my human body, and for example, could cause stress in my nerve system, or they can cause pain inside my human body, and in that way they can attack me and stress my nerve system. So it can be very stressful in these situations, and it can lead to a point where you as a human uh, where you lose your days in life, because you cannot enjoy them and you just have pain them inside your human body. So the whole topic is very complex. The whole topic is that individual creatures can disturb and attack human beings. Also individual creatures which have lived as human beings before. Now I go to the example with the mosquito. So for example, um, mm, ancestors, so a creature who have lived as a human being before, use an animal body. So they are controlling them, the animal, and will control the decisions the animal might take. So if the animal will decide I'm gonna fly in that direction, the mosquito decides I'm gonna attack Niall, then it can be controlled by creatures which have lived as human beings before as well, so ancestors of living humans. And now imagine you wake up in the morning and you get attacked through the whole day by mosquitoes. And you do already know there's an individual creature who have lived as a human being before, for example, and these individuals are attacking you by abusing the natural environment and the biological bodies in the area where you live. And then you can imagine that the natural environment can be a nice tool for creatures which have lived as human beings before to communicate with living humans. But you can also imagine that if you are a living human who is able to do and universal communication and to show it to the public, that life can be very, very harmful and very, very difficult and very, very painful in cases when you get attacked. And what I just wanted to make clear in this video is that all these things can happen. All these things can happen. I'm gonna add maybe, if I remember that when I upload this video, maybe I'm gonna add another video which is showing you where an animal body is used. And in the same way, the same animal body can be used for attacks. So if I remember that when I upload this video, I will add it. Otherwise, you just have me in the video speaking about it. But maybe later there gonna be some video material on ciembassy.com in case I'm gonna make something transparent, which I cannot guarantee today, because it's difficult to capture attacks, because often creatures, if they attack a living human, they do not want to be filmed. For people which are interested in the universal symbiosis, and that's what it is, the people should understand nature is both. It's a symbiosis, and the symbiosis can be used as a weapon chamber for creatures which have lived as human beings before, for example, if they are smart enough to use it like that. So in the same way they can use wind, as you can see in the videos on my website. They, for example, could produce a tornado or twister and destroy a house with a much higher wind level. Even that would be possible. I want people to understand that, so it's very complex. There are gonna be maybe much more videos later online, but that's something I cannot guarantee, because I cannot plan my life very good because of the universal communication, and because creatures which have lived as human beings before do sometimes destroy my plans. So no matter what I plan, or the plans can be destroyed by other creatures which are them influencing my human body, or which are influencing the surrounding where I do live at the moment. So hopefully that video did help you a little bit, and stay tuned on ciembassy.com, and hopefully I can inform in the future a little bit better and more about universal communication, because beside the negative parts, there are a lot of positive chances for mankind in case mankind would be able to understand that. So would be conscious, there would be enough consciousness from living humans to understand that, and in case they would use the real chances. Regarding the videos where living creatures which have lived as human beings before try to reach their living families, please do understand, video material is nice and is good, but the living family members have the chance to communicate with them directly in a way they can understand it. And the only way to use these chances for the living family members which have found a video with a creature who belongs to their family on ciembassy.com is to use the chance to contact us and to try to reach your family members directly, to communicate them directly with you, so that you as the living humans will be able to communicate directly with them. And I want to make clear, the chances are there, but there is not 100% guarantee that it will work. That's the way families can understand that. The most individual creatures which have lived as human beings before are produced videos with. They're trying to reach their family members, and what they absolutely want in the most cases is their family members to contact ciembassy.com or ciembassy.de for a direct appointment, so that they be able to communicate with them directly. For example, here in Bonn, where I do live, as one of the humans who's able to make ancestor communication transparent and who's able to communicate with ancestors. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned on ciembassy.com and have a lot of fun. Bye.